Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
But we got a team in here. This is the Vikings chat. Now everybody tell us, here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
The best. The absolute best.
Thanks to the Pat McAfee crew for supplying us our usual Friday entertainment off the top of this 4-question Friday on Purple Daily. Mackey, Judd, Declan. We appreciate everyone who has either downloaded the Score North app and or who has clicked subscribe on one of our 2 YouTube channels, Purple Daily Podcast and Score North MN, and or who has spread the word about what we're doing here at Score North. March was a record month for us in terms of just consumption and downloads and plays and everything. It's really the biggest that our audience has been in a month, probably going back years to the old 1500 ESPN days where Judd and I were hosting a 4-hour radio show in the middle of the day. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. And today's 4-question Friday is powered in part by our friends at Whamatech. So if you're watching us or listening to us on a broken down phone, tablet, or other device, you don't have to break the bank to get a new one. That's where Whamatech comes in as a trusted supplier of pre-owned devices. They source their own devices directly and pass the savings on to you. They'll even buy your old device for cash, buy, sell, trade in, whatever you need. Whamatech.com. That's Whamatech.com. I don't think Whamatech can help if you still have a broken down left side of the offensive line, but I think we've probably
that for sure?
beat that horse to death this week. So, we can call him and ask him.
Who knows? Don't know till you ask.
You go to Whamatech, they've got phones, tablets, laptops, left guards. We can help you.
The answer
Brian
is
Dozier has short-circuited.
The answer is always no until you ask Phil Mackey.
That's true. That's a good point. All right, boys, let's get into it. 4-question Friday here. We'll start out with question number 1. And this comes from, I'm gonna set this up by saying Mike Sando, friend of the show. Mike Sando is an NFL insider from The Athletic.
Very good.
And what he loves to do is talk to league executives, front office people, scouts, and give them anonymity to say potentially flammable things about opposing teams. I mean, that's Mike Sando is brilliant at making connections. So he got random executives around the NFL to talk off the record about what each team has done so far in the offseason in free agency. So I'm going to read you 3 quotes from random high-ranking NFL executives about what they think about the Vikings, and you tell me if you agree or disagree with their assessments. That's question number 1.
Okay.
All right. So the first one said, Zimmer's first mistake was saying he'd never had a bad defense, an executive said. His second mistake was going for the quick fix in free agency with risky veterans instead of coaching the young guys they brought in. They run that complex scheme, and when it doesn't work, it's the execution's fault, so they sign veterans.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read a couple more, and then you can answer.
Okay.
That was pretty scathing. Dalvin Tomlinson is a really good player for what they do, an evaluator said. Signing Patrick Peterson, they are basically saying they struck out last year drafting those young corners. But the big thing is they get Danielle Hunter back from injury, so that changes their pass rush.
Yep.
And then one more. They paid an old declining corner and they paid a nose tackle, an executive said. I'm not a fan, but that's what Zimmer wants to do with his defense, and he has had great defenses. Maybe this is what stirs the drink. So a lot of skepticism with competing front offices and these. And by the way, just because these people aren't putting their names on this, it doesn't mean it's fake news. These are real people that work high up in NFL organizations, and they're given anonymity to speak their mind and opinions. So that's how that works.
I can't believe that Spielman said those things about what Mike has done. It's Spielman.
Can't believe Rob Brzezinski spoke off the record like that about his own team. It's crazy.
I don't know what the hell he's doing, but what? He'll probably get fired.
So do you agree or disagree is question number 1 with these?
Well, number 1, I think the third quote that you read, I agree with completely. I think that's spot on. The second quote that had the thing about that this sort of shows that the young defensive backs or corners didn't work out, and so they signed Peterson, I don't agree with. They asked too much of those guys, and they realized it, and they made a mistake. And we told them not to pat ourselves on the back, but a year ago, You can't ask young corners to do as much with because this is correct, a complex system. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the Peterson thing is punting on Gladney or Dantzler at all. I don't agree with that. I think it's trying to get them insulation and help, which they should have, and they did it now. So I actually think that the Vikings could Peterson be fried or cooked? Possibly.
Maybe.
But do I think the idea is a good one to get a veteran here who can provide guidance on the field? Yes, I absolutely do. I don't know why Zimmer wasn't supposed to say that he had a bad defense when he clearly did. So, was he not supposed to admit to that? We all watched that Christmas Day game. It was a debacle. It was an embarrassment. So, what is he supposed to be like? Well, no, it's all going to be fine. But the overall takeaway I get from all three quotes, I agree with, and it is correct, which is Mike is going to do things one way, and that's defense. And all three people are saying the same thing in that vein. That I agree with. This is never about the football team. It's always about the football team's defense.
Yeah. What about you, Dex?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the way they've structured all these contracts and the length they've given them was the right move. Patrick Peterson's a one-year deal. Xavier Woods is a one-year deal. I think of all the guys that have the chance of blossoming and sticking around as Tomlinson, who obviously signed a multi-year deal. And typically, the Vikings have had good success finding guys like Linval Joseph and even Sheldon Richardson in a plug-and-play. They've found guys on the defensive line that they've been able to cultivate, for lack of better words. But I do agree with them that I think, regardless, the Vikings defense I think was going to be better next year. It was pretty bad last year, right? It was 27th in almost in bottom 5 in almost every major category. So wouldn't it have been more wise to use all those resources and pool maybe the majority of that money towards one of the best offensive linemen, or also spread it out and try to get one of the better offensive weapons too? Just the philosophy of going all in on defense in 2021 to me can be kind of an issue. And Mike Zimmer has served all of his free agent needs in one thing to something that is so hard to keep relevant and piece together for long-term success.
Yeah, I think to me the biggest, what I glean from this is there's a lot of skepticism around the league about the free agent strategy here and the risk of allocating that money to Patrick Peterson, who had a dip in his 30s last year. And I think the sentiment is, well, you drafted a bunch of young players. If you're such a great defensive mind, can't you coach up and scheme up the pieces that you do have? And maybe you add a piece or two. And then, the more modern thing to do would be to fortify your offensive line, maybe add a third wide receiver weapon, right? Which they're still draft. They have a first-round pick, so they could add an offensive player with the first-round pick or not. So I understand the criticism. I think it's a little over the top. I mean, listen, they have had a really good. I like the signings they've made on defense. I do question doubling up on the nose tackles and just saying, oh, wow, one of them will just play 3 technique. But Mike Zimmer seems to believe it's going to work, and he knows a hell of a lot more about NFL defenses than I do. And so I do tend to trust his instinct on defense. I don't trust his instinct on offense, and that's why I've been hypercritical of him. But I think these evaluators and executives are a little over the top in their criticism of the Vikings offseason. So, yeah, that's my take. Question number 2 for you guys here on 4 Question Friday. 17-game schedule came out officially earlier this week. We have not talked about it yet on this show because there have been so many other things to talk about. What are your thoughts on the NFL's new 17-game schedule?
I can't wait for the Week 17 matchup against the arch-rival Chargers. I think it's going to be fantastic. Go out to that new stadium and kick some Charger butt. Personally, I hate it, and here's why. 17 will go to 18. There's no question. This is a pit stop. This is a rest stop. This is not your... So they went from 14, I think, to 16 in the 70s, and for basically something like 40 years plus, they were at 16 games. Yeah. They're going to go to 17, and as soon as they can get that sucker to 18, they're going to. And don't buy for a second this, but we're concerned about safety. No, they're not. They're concerned about the bottom line, and the pandemic drove revenues down in 2020, and they're going to try to get them back up as soon as possible. And plus, if you play 18 games, that means you get more and more TV cash. Here's why I hate it, though. The 16-game season in all of sports, across the sports that we watch the most, right? Baseball, 162. NBA and NHL, 82. Football, 16. The 16 was perfect. Like if they had just gotten rid of a preseason game and played, let's say, 3 preseason games in the National Football League, Phil Mackey, and I loved 16 games. I thought 16 games was absolutely ideal. And
Wrong.
18 is going to be too much. 17 I don't like. I know you guys want more football. I don't need more. I'm sure when baseball in 61 went from 154 to 162, they all said, oh, yeah, good, more baseball. Come on. Less is more.
Wow.
So you couldn't be more wrong. I will say this. I will side with you a little bit is it is definitely unnecessary. Like
I don't need you to side with me.
I don't think. No. I'm going to side with you.
You don't have to come my way.
Just wait.
Hold on.
10% of me says, you know what? Did we need an extra game or two? Like were we getting our football fix and injecting football into our veins with a 16-game season? Was like the public clamoring for an extra game or two? Not really. It's a cash grab, and it's a great way for the NFL to potentially either own. They could either own. I think they should own more of February. I don't think they should like start the season in August. I think they should own more of February.
No question, they need more.
And they're already owning some of the off-season months brilliantly with the combine and the free agency and the draft, so they could own February even more. But I love this because I love watching football. And if they get to an 18-game schedule, it means it's going to be it'll be a 20-week season. So they will essentially have extended the season by a month when it's all said and done because they're going to put a second bye in. You'll have a bye in the first half and then a bye in the second half, I'm sure. And we get to watch more football. Put it this way, you're sitting here and you're being all resistant to change right now. Are you telling me second week of February, and you get to watch like amazing playoff games and have those things
good the way it
is
is.
That you're going to be complaining about that? I mean,
it's good the way it is. It's good the way it is.
And it'll be amazing with more.
Football.
I know that Mark Cuban at one point said, I think it was pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Slaughtered, yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
So you got to be a little bit careful, but I think
And how are you not going to have more guys hurt? And how are you going to, and they're going to
Next
18,
man up.
and they're never going to
Next
stop.
man up.
They're never going to stop. You know, at some point in time, the sloth has to stop. Like, you've got to know, I don't need that 13th beer.
Sean
12
Mannion,
was enough.
Come on down.
God.
Dex, break the tie.
I'm on board with more football. Of course, then I
Of course
want
you
more
guys are.
football.
Of
I
course
want
you
more
guys
football
are.
all the time.
Of course you guys are. Go ahead.
You eliminated a preseason game. Genius move.
Oh, yeah, because that preseason game, Did you guys see that the league tried to justify this by saying they had done a study that showed more guys get hurt in preseason, and that's the real problem?
Oh, wow.
But it's players that don't play.
Right.
I don't care if my next door neighbor gets hurt.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with the whole football. The only small thing I have is like getting into my brain that I now have to add 12-5. Like the entire record, because football is such a small game, like, just 16 games, you can like figure out and project records super easily. That part I'm having the most difficult time with,
tough,
just
right?
because I'm not a math person. So that part I don't like, but more football, dude. Bring on more football.
Don't worry. If they get to an 18-game schedule and Kirk Cousins is still the quarterback, 9-9. That's all you have to know. 9-9. Maybe. Sorry, that was a drive-by, unnecessary shot at our guy Kirk Cousins.
You like that? You like that?
All right, question number 3, which, by the way, question number 3 brought to you by our friends at Federated Mutual Insurance Company, partners of us here on Purple Daily and also across the Score North Network, Mackey and Judd, and partners of business owners in the state of Minnesota since the early 1900s. They're based in Owatonna. They are one of us, and they have risk management tools and resources to help your business. You can find a full list of industries Federated protects at federatedinsurance.com. Be sure to check out My Shield, which is just an amazing risk management tool and resource that Federated has created. Federatedinsurance.com, the Federated app, free to download. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. All right, question number 3. So with that 17-game schedule, and we're going to make Declan do math here, what do you think? Let's say they add one more starting offensive lineman, either via free agency and or the draft. So they basically have, let's say, 2 pieces to add. One more in free agency and then a first-round pick. And let's say they add a pass rusher and an offensive lineman or whatever, okay? So they add something. What do you think their record is in 2021, knowing everything you know about the team right now, if they add a couple pieces?
Dex, let's start with you because the math
He needs
part's
more time
not going
for
to be
math,
fun.
though, here.
No, I know,
he
but
wants to
that's
expose
what's
me.
no fun. I'm trying to expose him because if I go first and give you the record, he can think about that and just pair it.
Sure.
the fact that
All right,
I've done the math for them.
I'm going to make this easy on myself here. So right now, I think best case they're 7-9 in a 16-game season. Right over a 16-game season, I think they're 7-9. I think that's their ceiling right now, at least, unless you do something in the draft.
Phil just said they signed like 87 guys.
So let's say you add. Let's just call it. Actually, let's call it Penei Sewell. Let's just say Penei Sewell falls or whatever. You get Penei Sewell. Okay.
What?
Let's just say
Well,
for
you
the
said
sake of this
top-
argument.
Wow.
Yeah. But like that, the biggest need, right? Let's just say they get Penei Sewell. How many more wins does that project from a 7-9? So I think honestly it goes. You can't really do a win and a half, but it's just a win more. It's just one win more. They're 8-9 at that point. Like I would have to see the entire product and be convinced for it to be better. So I would say 8-9 if you were able to get an offensive lineman.
I'm going to actually say this. So
I did it.
very good, Declan. I
did it.
Very good.
Wow. Big
So if
congrats
you-
there.
Yeah.
Big congrats.
So the defense should definitely be improved, and the defense actually might be pretty good here. Offensive line, if we go along with what Phil is telling us that they're going to add a little bit there, it also is going to be the years in which Zim ordinarily makes the playoffs. Anyway, if I put that all together, I'm going to give them 10 wins and 7 defeats. 10 wins and 7 defeats. I think that's very fair.
Yep, I think they have absolutely improved. I mean, just the defensive players you get back and the players that you've signed. I think Patrick Peterson's going to have a bounce-back season. So your defense goes from bottom 5 to for sure top half of the league, and maybe even like, depending on how much he can mold and if guys stay healthy, they might be looking at a top 5 defense again. And if that's the case, I got them on 10-7 or 11-6 right now. And then the question becomes, okay, how built are you to win multiple games in the playoffs? Because I don't think 10-6. This is so hard. I don't think 10-7 or 11-6 comes anywhere near getting you home field advantage or a bye in the first round, right? So you're gonna have to win maybe a road playoff game and maybe 3 games to get to the Super Bowl.
No.
And let's keep our eye on that Super Bowl prize here, okay? I know that we sometimes lower the bar after 60 years of no Super Bowls, but 10-7 or 11-6, I think if they add an offensive lineman and a couple pieces here, free agency and draft.
I think that's very fair.
They all did a pretty good job with the math there.
That's very fair, and I think the best odds, if you're a Vikings fan in 2021, should not be to lower the bar, but just go to the bar. Get your vaccine.
You have them at 10-7.
Your vaccine.
It's not going to be that bad.
Get your No, but you said the playoffs. You went to a very dark place for me right now, and that is Minnesota sports playoffs. Okay, Twins, Vikings. It's a very dark. That's a place of which therapy is needed.
Yeah. All right, question number 4 here. 4-question Friday.
4. Okay.
All right. By the way, 4-question Friday, powered in part by our friends at TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL. TCL is the studio sponsor here for us at Purple Daily, so we appreciate them.
A little baseball, hockey, basketball.
What?
What you can watch on your TCL, little baseball, hockey,
You're
basketball.
You're just saying words.
Little
Beer,
baseball.
cheese curds.
You're just saying sports.
Hockey pucks.
More of what you want.
Baseballs.
TCL gives you the ability to watch. Look, I can watch my
Judge,
new
I love Lamp.
Bally Sports on TCL. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, if you have the right streaming platform, which is another conversation.
Well, that's true. That's not my problem though.
But speaking of which, MLB Opening Day was yesterday, so that's probably the most exciting day on the baseball calendar. They don't have a lot of exciting days on the baseball calendar as much as
Day one
love
of the playoffs. Baseball playoffs, day one might be my favorite now. It used to be opening day.
Well, so
I
my
like to
question
say the
here
playoffs.
is, what is the most exciting day for you on the NFL calendar?
Oh, this one is very, very easy.
And you can't say Super Bowl, right? Like I think that's like excluded.
No,
It's not- Super Bowl isn't my
It's not that
answer, so-
exciting, and it's
Right.
not exciting.
Right, yeah,
It
I know.
starts at 6:00 at night. The most exciting day when you wake up and you want it and you can taste it. Start a free agency.
Dude.
The first day of free agency is the greatest day of the year because you know. In fact, you know what? I'll rephrase slightly. Legal tampering day one is now my favorite because you wake up and you know that the rumors, the bombs, the Shefty bombs are going to be flying all day long, and then you're going to start to get guys agreeing. Oh, it's not even close. You know what, Phil? Actually, to your point, I think my favorite day of the football season now of the National Football League, I think NBA is the same. I think July, July 1, right?
Yep.
The start of their free agency.
It won't be this year, but yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think in those two sports, I think those are my favorite days.
It's up there for sure. So I'm actually going to go with the day. So we already know who the opponents are for each team right now. Mm-hmm. But the day of the NFL schedule release, so it's like we already know who they're going to play. But tonight, hold on a second. Let me start this over.
Yeah, wait. I know you're done.
But tonight.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
NFL Network.
Football, Rich Eisen.
We're going to spend the next 6 hours telling you the order in which you're going to play those teams, and I bleeping love it. I'm here for it. I love that they've made it a primetime special every May or whenever it comes out. So, yeah.
What if we took all of our football songs and wrote lyrics for them? Because, like,
don't tempt me with a good time.
That thing that you just played. Football is coming up next.
Football's coming up next on NBC.
Aaron Rodgers played for the Packers. He's unhappy right now with Green Bay. He wants out. He'll be a Viking before long. We could just write lyrics for everything.
I think you should copyright that song.
Oh my God.
He's unhappy with the Green Bay Packers right now. He wants out. They won't draft him a receiver.
He wants a finger of tequila in his cup.
Coming up next on Fox's Football. We got a lot of football. It's the Vikings and the Chargers in Week 17. They hate each other.
Oh man. I love the NBA and NBC theme though. That I think it was SNL that put lyrics behind it.
Oh, Rumble Rock, which is now the Fox College song. This is not the Fox College song.
Basketball. Give me the ball so that I can go dunk it.
I want to start a super team. That's now Rumble Rock is now used by Fox on college basketball, and it's really weird because it's like this doesn't belong on college basketball, and it sure as hell doesn't belong on Fox.
But it belongs somewhere. Because NBC
NBC should have just kept using it.
Well, they don't have basketball. They should have used it for the Golf U.S. Open.
You'd use it for something else. I don't give a crap. Just keep it in rotation.
It should have been the Olympics theme. All right, Dex, what's your favorite day on the NFL?
My favorite day, and we've discussed before, but it's always divisional week. I love divisional week in the NFL. The top 4 teams in each conference. I think that's the best time of the calendar football year. You have the top 4 teams. You know, the 2 teams that are going to the championship game afterwards. I think it's the best week. And then I would say even a small runner-up is Thanksgiving Day. I mean, come on, like football and Thanksgiving Day basically go as hand as turkey and gravy. Like they're a tag team. So I would say those 2 are probably my 2 favorite days of the football year.
Boom. Those are your 4 questions on this Friday here. Purple Daily with Mackey and Judd.
4 questions, huh, Mackey? Buffalo High School represent. Yeah. Judd,
Daily Vikings Entertainment. Judd might have just died live on the show.
Yeah, God, I thought the audio shut off. I got paranoid
I shut it off because I was going to cough.
Yeah.
Judd just passed away. If you want to see a dead body, right there. Judd just died on Purple Daily. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate everyone supporting the show and watching and listening on a daily basis. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on Purple Daily.